Independent learning at first was really difficult because you've gone from an environment which tells you constantly what you need to do, and it's pretty much about ticking boxes on a marking sheet, to this environment which encourages you to think outside the box, and they mark you on your ability to ask why instead of just what. At first that was really difficult, but it was a skill that you learn with time and experience.
I think with independent learning it can definitely be very beneficial because it's very flexible. So you can find your own slant on something and really go with that, which is very freeing in a way. But it's also kind of scary because if you go in completely the wrong direction, then that can not turn out very well for you. In our first few lectures, it was made very clear to us how much we should be studying. I'm not sure if everyone is doing that. But they do give guidelines about how much time you should spend on things and where you should be getting your information, which is very helpful. But again, just figuring out what works for you and why is very useful, and probably more useful than following what everyone else is doing or any prescription that someone else gives you.
My timetable was fantastic in first year. I had a nice balance between having enough lectures to make it feel like I've got an excuse to go onto campus quite a bit, but not so much that I felt like I was doing nothing but going to lectures. So it gave me a lot of time to do lots of social activities as well, because that's what first year is about for a lot of it. It is about finding your feet and finding your interests.
Critical thinking is the ability to see things from different perspectives. And even if you take one notion, your ability to sort of empathise with an alternative view. Sometimes you stumble upon things that are so insightful that would actually help you in other areas, maybe on an internship. You're just much more informed.
To me, critical thinking is getting into the nitty-gritty of a subject. It's really understanding why something is why it is understanding why something does certain things or why certain thinkers think in a certain way.
So when you're sort of critically appraising an article, maybe you're going to use it in a piece of coursework, you'll look at how many test subjects they used. If they've only used a test sample of, say, 10 subjects, it's not going to be as reliable as one that you find that maybe use 1,000 or 100,000 subjects. Or look at the figures that they've actually produced in their journals. This is stuff that they think is really important if they put it in a figure to go along with the discussion. So, why have they included that? What's this telling us? So that's really important to do when you're critically appraising, say, a journal article.
The key thing is to question everything. Just not to question, the validity of primary sources and be like, that's not evidence. That's evidence. Don't be annoying. But in terms of when you're looking at secondary sources, definitely assess how things were written, why they were written, when they were written, and things like that will come into play when you're factoring in how valid a source is. You won't be at the end of it having a bit of a crisis thinking nothing's real, but at the same time you're there confident enough to sort of doubt things that you might have previously just accepted.
Something that distracted me quite a lot from studying was socialising. I got a lot of that out of my system in first year just in time, so it's all good.
I find it very distracting to actually work at home. So once I go back, I think, it's time to relax. I'm in my room or I'm with my friends. So it is quite difficult to, get into that working sort of mode.
Netflix was a big distraction for me. I got around that by asking my dad to change the password and not having him tell me what it was until I've done my work. So that was very useful.
Fear of failure is the biggest distraction, because it causes you to not want to do work. Take time out to have a broader look at what you're doing and how far I need to go to get to where I need to go to. So if I do identify weaknesses, I know who to go to say, look, I need help on this. And then that bit of confidence in terms of the direction that you're taking will help you be more focused. Yeah.
If you are feeling really stressed out and worked up and what have you, sometimes you do need to sort of decompress and have a little bit of time off. There's a sports society and a society for anything you want to do here, so go out and do loads of that stuff and see if you find something that interests you, because then that adds to keeping things fresh. You go out and do something and then you come back in the evenings and you can wind down reading a chapter of a book or something like that, or going over a lecture or what have you.
you don't have, say, your parents saying, look, go to bed, it's time to go to bed, you've got to have an early night. You think, oh, I'll go to the library, you know, I haven't quite covered this yet. You know, it's probably more important that you're well rested than that you've, you know, covered everything in a panic and that you go to the library and, you know, you've forgotten all your pens or you've forgotten your calculator because you're just not thinking properly. And that's important. You know, don't leave things to the last minute because you'll start doing a mad panic rush. You put references all over the place. It doesn't really make that much sense. If you can set yourself up early on, it really does help. And I hope that's advice that I take myself actually further on.
There's lots of places that you can get advice on campus. So if you do find you're struggling with things, there are so many people that are experts in this area and they can help you. So you just don't need to worry about things like that. Just reach out and ask for help from people.